another episode of the Nana Yaa Yeboaa show. My name is Nana Yaa Yeboaa. Today I'm in the studio with Eddie the Original One, the one and only Eddie. Eddie is a creative artist which encompasses beatboxing, spoken word artistry, and as well an entrepreneur. He's been in the business for 20 plus years. Am I right?
Yes,
Great.
2 decades plus.
Yes, 2 decades plus. 2 decades plus. Now, this is a very special interview for me because it marks a point in my journey as a host or an interviewer. And that was almost 5 years ago or 5 years ago. Yes, when I
Mm.
started the Literary Voices and the Nana Yaa Yeboaa show. Before I proceed there, if you're watching us wherever you're watching us, if you've not liked, shared, or subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so. It is very important to bring you quality individuals and conversations such as the one we're going to have. We learn wisdom from them. We learn some business strategies as well, which is the highlight of this conversation with Eddie. So Eddie was the first person, uno, numero uno, the first
Uno,
person I interviewed,
the original
the
one.
original one that I interviewed when I started my journey as, a host. Before then, I've known Eddie within the spoken word and entertainment industry here in Toronto, Canada, for many years. He obliged me and said, yes, I will come to your studio. We will sit and we will have a conversation. So we are here 5 years on with much experience, much wisdom, much knowledge to share with you, our viewers. I hope whoever that is watching, something will inspire you, something will transform you, and something is going to motivate you, especially if you are in the creative industry. So, Eddie, for those
Yes.
who don't know you, have not listened or our previous interview, let's say it's 5 years ago, if it's a child, the child will be in kindergarten or grade one. Let's recap.
hmm
If we are to ask you this open ended question, who is Eddie, the original one? What would you tell us?
I would say that and I'm an arts lover, a beatbox poet, a writer, performer, an entertainer. And through that, I love stories. I love hearing stories. I love telling stories, and I love helping people tell their story through the arts. So whether that's verbally, through dance, through photography, through whatever creative project that or some way that they can express themselves artistically, I want to be there to basically assist wherever I can and help them be the best person that they can be out there, and show themselves to the world.
Wow, that is packed. That is packed. So, like I said earlier, you've been in this business for over 2 decades.
Yes.
How have you survived in this business for that
It
long while others have, you know,
it's consistency, and it's not been a smooth road. So that's why I want to help others, like basically not go through the stuff that I went through. 'Cause it's been a school of hard knocks. It's definitely been a school of hard knocks. Everything. So anything that I have to tell anybody is not, it's not from just what I heard. It's
from
it's from what I
experience?
know. It's from what I know. And I've gone through, yeah, so I've kind of seen it all because I've been on both sides of it, of basically being on the stage and going through it, of just being a performing artist and dealing with that, and then also behind the stage in terms of planning shows and organizing shows and working with different festivals and all these different things that so so either so wherever from whichever avenue you're coming from, I've kind of
Mhm.
I've been through
You've
it,
been there.
as a performer and as somebody who's been behind the scenes.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I think my next question really will be, what compelled you to get into the creative arts industry?
So from the time I was young, I've always just wanted to be a guess the was a performer. So the
Mhm.
first one I knew that I could write. I remember basically being around 8 or 9, and me and my friend were like, "Yeah, we're writing songs." Right? So it started off like as that with that being in primary school and hanging out with my friend and we'd be sitting with our pen and paper and we're writing down songs. And as I got older, then as hip hop came in, then I wanted to be a rapper. So that I was going to be the best rapper in the world. And then that led to one day actually being at an event, and then and impressing somebody who's been a mentor to me, brother OG. And um and actually I'm wearing from the Macri line.
Okay. Okay. Shout out to brother OG.
Shout out to brother OG. His belief, hearing my work,
Hmm.
and I was just rapping, and then somebody was like, "Oh, that's amazing poetry," and I was like, "Really?
Say
Poetry?
what is poetry?
What poetry?" Right? And to
Yes,
me at that time, poetry was Shakespeare and that kind of stuff, and I was like, I didn't
yes.
really consider myself poetry. I'm like, "Yo, brother, I'm doing my hip hop thing, man. Like we." Right? And he was like, "Yeah, revolutionary African poetry, brother, revolutionary African poetry." So,
Oh goodness
so
gracious.
taking that on, and
Hmm.
so that was just me performing, I've been performing from a kid. And then, as I said, to the point where when in meeting brother OG, then I started doing spoken word and really kind of looking at the oral tradition
Hmm.
and just what I was actually molded by from like Caribbean storytellers like Paul Kings Douglas and Jamaican storyteller Miss Lou and just Calypsonians and all
Yes.
the different ways. So I wasn't when most traditional poets they'll talk about Langston Hughes and different
Yes.
people like that. Those weren't necessarily the people that was influencing me. The people that was influencing myself was the Calypsonians like the Mighty Sparrow and Kitchener and Crazy and Shadow, and those were the people who were
More of the Caribbean
yeah.
aspect of,
and then
yeah.
and then and then and so that simultaneously with the hip hop people like KRS One and Slick
Yes.
Rick and Big Daddy
Yes.
Kane, those were the people that were influencing my writing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I'm a mixture of the Caribbean and I'm a mixture of hip hop,
Hip
and
hop.
those two things make me up. Those ingredients is what makes Eddie the cake that it is, and the
Well,
story that
it,
it is.
it is a beautiful cake. So when we look at the, say, spoken word scene or landscape from 20 years ago,
Hmm.
when you started
Yeah.
till now, what do you see?
What's interesting is so they've seen the actual scene from a business standpoint is went up and down. The
Hmm.
writers, well, every time that like at first you're like, oh, it's getting watered down, and then you'll have like one or two people that will just kind of show up, and you're like, oh, there's hope still. Right? And then you just want to help those people. And I think those are the people that inspire me that way. See, so as now that I'm moving into the
Hmm.
consulting phase of what I do, like those are the people that basically it's like, oh, there's
There's
still
still,
there's still hope because there's amazing storytellers continuing our griot tradition and that exist and that are here,
I
you
think
know.
this leads me to this question. I didn't write it down, but why is spoken word poetry, what you do, relevant in society for us?
For us, it's the stories because it's our CNN. It's our way of telling the news. So like um when we watch TV or any kind of taking in any kind of media, it can be skewed. It can be
Mm-hmm.
skews, and they all have their own narrative, and but we have to control our own narrative. So spoken word, and then again, even like we the term or the genre might change, depending on, it was called beat poetry, you call it dub poetry, call like it has a lot of umbrella names, right? But in the end, it's
Mm-hmm.
the people telling the story of what's going on with them, and basically, and you can mark it in a space and time. It's the artwork. It's the verbal hieroglyphics of our time, right?
Okay.
And that's what we get to appreciate. And when you have somebody that, for whatever reason, in that moment, they can kind of say all the stuff that we're feeling, whether it's hurt, whether it's joy, whatever it is, that and they have a certain way that they can shape it,
Mm-hmm.
and bring it back to the people and go, yeah, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah,
I can
like
connect
you're
with
you're in
that.
my head. I can
Yes.
relate with that.
Yes.
I can relate with that. You're telling my story. I might
Yes.
not have the words personally, but you're telling my story, and
Yes.
I really relate with that.
I can most definitely respect that because when I immigrated here to Canada and was a student at U of T, I lacked the language to express my experience as a Black person on campus
Hmm.
until I was already writing poetry, but poetry also brought me to the landscape of, like, is it Flavor, the Paperback Club, meeting people of kindred minds, going through similar experience, expressing or telling our stories in the ways that we know through storytelling, as
Hmm.
well as bridging. You mentioned Miss Lou.
Yes.
Yes, Miss Lou, the famous
Yeah, I got to
story.
open for her many years ago at the Toronto Storytelling Festival. That was it
Well,
was
unfortunately, I didn't meet her, but has had an impact
And the
on
one picture I have of myself, it's on my first album, but I don't have the physical picture. It's only
Oh,
in the reprinted
yes,
inside my album cover, and I don't
yes.
actually have the original picture. And
Oh,
I'm so mad at myself because of that,
yeah.
But when I got to meet her, and like, I just everything. I remember her getting on stage and me
Hmm.
just literally, I was a grown man at the time, but I just literally became a kid again, just sitting and just I was just sitting and just watching her up on the stage, and just like a kid.
Yes, 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 yes. So, like I said, for me, not having that expressive way of the poetry offered me a way of connecting with
Hmm.
other Black Canadians to tell my story of where I'm coming from. Because I realized that when we get on stage, my poetry was more steeped in where I was coming from,
Right.
to solidify who I am as an African person in Canada. So it
Hmm.
was really, really nice to see the differences and the connection and the learning from
Yeah.
each other. But some of us were doing it as an outlet. We never took it as as a
That you can make a living off of it,
we
or
can. I
um
think we really didn't see if we could make a living off it.
because even for myself, when I first started, the thing for me, so as I said, at one point I wanted to be a rapper.
Hmm.
So I was, as a rapper, or somebody who was pursuing hip hop, um, I was waiting to be discovered. But then, as I started moving towards spoken word, I wasn't waiting to be discovered. I started becoming more self-sufficient in
Mhm.
actually going out to basically find spaces that I could perform in, which actually led me to performing in a lot more shows than when I was a rapper. Because now people were seeing me because I was actively now driving what I was doing for people to hear my work.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things, for a lot of art, is that basically is like, how are people finding you, right? Like
Okay.
how, like, some, I have a cousin that says that nobody will throw you the keys to the car unless they've seen you driving. And so once I started kind of driving my own vehicle to
Mhm.
showcase what I do as a writer, as a performer, as a beatboxer, and then
Yeah.
also too in taking all those talents and merging them on
Mhm.
stage, then all of a sudden people were like, "Hey, come and be our," people were inviting me to places. And then you're like, "Oh wait, as people are inviting me to places, this can actually be something that's viable, so now you're part of this, whether it's a literary festival because you're a writer, whether it's a
Yeah.
musical festival because you're incorporating music within your work. So you're
Mhm.
like, oh wait, I could be part of all these different artistic things, just from just being me, just doing what I do. um
Mhm.
and that, I see, there's a few there's a few people that I got to be around, because at one point I thought I was going to quit. And I
Mhm.
was like, I'm done. I lost, like, I invested money into myself and I lost money. And
Yes.
then through the grace of God, there's certain people that found me because of projects that they were doing. And
Mhm.
then that led to finding other, as you said, other like minds that were like,
Yeah.
oh, there's other people in other cities that
Mhm.
basically is like, okay, this is their, they're looking at it, at this could be a career. This is where we're
Yeah.
traveling from town to town. Like the griot, like at the griots of the old, we're going from town to town
Yes.
and we're telling our
Yes.
story.
Yeah.
And I got to meet people like Debbie Young and Dwayne Morgan and Nth Degree from out of Ottawa and Butter Babies from out of Montreal, and all
Yeah.
these different people from, like, from New York, and
Mhm.
from the
Mhm.
UK,
Mhm.
Tugstar from the UK,
Oh yes.
and
Long
Man
time no hear
Noir.
that name.
Right, you
Yes. I've
you
had him on
you have
my
people
show
like
as
Levi,
well.
and people I got to mentor, like Leviathan, and
Yes.
there's just so many artists that,
Wow.
from Motion to Truth Is to Anne Marie Woods. There's just so many amazing people. Naila,
Yes.
Gemini, Gemini. There's just JD Vicious, just some amazing talents that I got
Where
to,
are all
that I
of
got
them?
they are everybody's doing their thing in their own way. Who's not anybody who they might be either at universities teaching. If they're not at universities teaching, they're behind the scenes writing. They're still performing. Like everybody that I mentioned they're still out here. Like basically, if you really research them, you'll find them working behind the scenes. As I said, like now, if I'm not on the stage, I'm behind the scenes working with artists. So they're all out there, doing the thing. Myself and Motion, Dwayne Morgan, and Nth Degree, we have a organization called the Northern Griot Network, and
Yes.
we've been traveling to different, going to the continent. We were in Uganda a little while ago. We were in Ghana a few years before that.
Mhm.
Going to Trinidad, back and forth in Trinidad.
Mhm.
Um, helping people start their literary spoken word festivals, and
Mhm.
this and mentoring young writers and performers, like,
Mhm.
so so people are working, people are doing their thing.
Well,
They might not, who's getting their walking. You have people like Randall Ajay.
yes.
He was also in Uganda with us, and
Yes.
he just got a star on of the Scarborough Walk of Fame. Like,
Yes.
so people are out here working.
No, for Randall, I'm really proud of the gentleman. That says that, sort of our generation, we started it. His generation is taking it to the
Yeah,
next step. So every time I see him, I am very grateful for his life, taking the spoken word poetry, just like how we used to do it, and
yeah.
has elevated it to a different level.
Yeah.
Most definitely, like what you said, life takes place. Some of us become mothers and wives and,
Yeah.
teachers, and some, like myself, end up being hosts of,
It basically, as you said, like it might it just
evolve.
changes, form. It just
Yes,
changes form, but we're still out here basically getting the word out. So whether
yes.
we're teaching it, we're turning it into theater, like
Hmm.
Debbie Young, Anita Africa, like she's taking the spoken word and turned it into theater. You have
Hmm.
Motion, who's turned it into TV and movie scripts.
Yes.
There's, so people are doing the work where they're doing the work. Randall and Rise, they
You
now they're
know,
on TV commercials, and so the spoken word is all around. The spoken
yeah.
word is all around us.
You
You
mentioned
still have Dwayne
Ocean,
Morgan doing When Sister Speaks and When Brother
and when
Speaks.
brothers speak, yes,
So
definitely.
everybody's doing the work, and as I said, for me, for myself, is like I'm consulting people behind the scenes, and basically it's like, okay, let's figure this out the same way how you would treat your 9 to 5. That basically, if you take that same energy, you can make your art your day job.
Okay. So, on that note, if you've not liked, shared, or subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you are artist, wherever you are in the world, this is very valuable information. At this point, we are going to get right into artistic entrepreneurship, how to
Mm.
make a living as an artist.
I
In
would.
the
Oh,
Okay,
sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I would say, like, the 10 keys
Oh, there
to
are 10 keys.
I would say, yeah, I would say that there's 10 keys to start off with.
Okay, I have my
Um,
pen, my paper.
right. Number one is
Yes.
make it easy for people to find you.
Okay, make it
Right. So
easy.
the way we would do it back in the days, that we would show up to the open mics. Right.
Hmm.
Now, because of the pandemic and different things, the open mics are not is they're not around. But some people, there's still open mics that might exist, but
Hmm.
now they're online. So find places that people can see you. So whether you're online, whether it's a live showcase, whether it's through social media where you're recording yourself and you're showing up on Instagram or TikTok or Twitch and whatever, record yourself and have people see you. Have a way for people to find you. I would say that's number one.
Okay,
Make it easy for people to find you. Like, how are
hmm,
people finding you? How do they get to know that you exist in the world? Right.
okay,
That's number one. Number two, I would say, is make it easy for people to contact you. Do you have an email? Do you have a DM, a phone number? Right. So once they've discovered you, wherever they have discovered you, how can they contact you? It's like,
hmm,
I might want you in my show. So how can I contact you? And so make it easy for people to contact you.
okay.
Number three, I would say, get every agreement in writing. So whether that's an email, a contract, um, you want basically that any agreement where once you're like, yo, I really like you, I want you in my show. Have something in writing saying that, so that that both of whatever you guys are agreeing to, have it in writing.
Hmm.
Number
Okay,
four, I would
number
say,
four.
is know your value and your worth. Never work for free. Get a like basically, so get a value exchange for the work that you do. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. Money is a tool, which is great, and you want to receive money, but always find a way that you can get a value exchange for what you're doing.
For
Right.
instance, if you don't know how will somebody who is just starting, you know, being called on stage, and for instance, the person organizing the event doesn't really have much to pay. Uh,
Right. And so there's two things that are happening there. Some promoters use that as, they tell you things like, we'll give you exposure.
mhm.
Right. But if you actually do the key number one, making it easy for people to find you, you don't actually need their exposure,
Okay.
because you're actually already doing it for yourself.
Hmm.
Right. So some people try to take advantage of that, right? So you just have to know. That's why I say you have to kind of know what your value is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because if you're actually doing the work properly,
Mm-hmm.
you don't need their exposure. You already exposed yourself,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So some, because most people, I feel like there's a handbook that every promoter will have. I don't have a lot of money, right? But everybody else is getting paid. The
Yeah.
venue, the DJ, everybody else. But somehow, when it comes to you, all of a sudden they don't have enough. They don't have enough, a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's again about positioning yourself, and
Oh.
don't be afraid of people saying no. Especially if they called you. If they called you, basically they should be able, and you have a fee, they should be able to accommodate that if they really want you in the show,
Mm-hmm.
right? So don't get dissuaded by that or feel like you're losing out on anything. You're not losing out on anything. It just means that you probably just need more work in doing number one, making it easy for people to find you. People need
Oh.
to see you. You just have to have a different strategy on how you work towards that,
Okay.
right? So never be afraid of, oh, I lost out. You didn't lose out on anything. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
lose out on anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? So because people kind of put that in your mind, and you don't get that out of your. That's a negative thought. You don't need that in your mind,
Yeah.
right? You just need to know, understand, and know what your value is, know what your worth is. And the other way, as I said, even if they don't pay you, what you need to get from them is a way of is a value exchange of whether they're either promoting you more, right?
Yeah.
Or you're able to get emails. So all those people that are seeing you, you have a way that basically you tell them about your Instagram. You tell them either about your Instagram or however they that people can contact you, so that basically you get new followers, and then now you have these people that you can contact the next time you're doing an event or you're doing something. You're able to basically take that information and be so, because now you have new fans, so now you can send out that information to the new fans that, hey, I got this next thing going on. You guys got to check it out.
Great.
Right. So know what your value is. So as I said, because it doesn't necessarily need to be monetary, but still find a way that you can get some kind of value out of it.
Yeah.
So if it's not monetary, it needs to be the people's contact information, so that you can tell them what your next thing, or I have a book coming out, I got a CD coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, check me out at whatever it is. So as I see it, so that's number four, knowing your value and your worth. Yeah.
Number five.
So number
I'm
five.
writing. I'm taking notes.
Number five, make it easy for people to pay you.
Oh,
I've
okay.
I've had situations that I've performed in certain countries, and I didn't have a proper system for people to pay me. So make sure you have a bank account that is just for your performance money. Also, you're supposed so you want to have a bank account, you want to have something in place. So whether it's Stripe, PayPal, you want to do a digital donation jar, right? So if you do a video, have a link that basically is like, hey, if people want to do a virtual tip jar, right? Make it easy for people that want to support you, that they can support you. So whether it's Patreon, digital PayPal, whatever, make it easy for people to, if they want to put their money where their mouth is, they can,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, so like I did this one show, and then when we came back, I didn't really have a proper way. I didn't have a proper way. So like if I was just in Canada, people can kind of pay me, and
Email money
yeah,
transfer.
you can do email transfers. So all these kind of things, just making sure like you just have a way that you make it simpler, because the harder you make it for people to pay you, then basically they start, uh
Yeah.
they
So,
base
for
it takes it out of
instance,
their mind. Or if you have something to sell, the easier it is for you to that you make it for them to actually pay you for the thing that you're selling. Then they, because sometimes it's what you call that, when somebody it's in the moment. It's in the moment. Hey, I
mhm,
want to support you in the moment. But the
yeah.
harder it is for them to give you any kind of money, then basically then you lose the sale.
Okay. So you would say that PayPal is something that an artist can use easily.
Yes.
for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
All right.
Stripe is a really good one.
Yes.
Squarespace,
Okay.
all those different things. Look into system. Look into a payment system so that, and it doesn't matter that wherever you are in the world, somebody can pay you. So whether it's an
Okay.
email transfer, however it is, you want to have a system. You want to have a system that you make it easy for people to pay you. That
Mm-hmm.
if they do want to financially support you, they can support you without having to. Oh, they don't have you don't want them to. It shouldn't be rocket science for them to give you money.
Okay. All right.
It shouldn't be rocket science for them to give you money,
Yes.
right? So that's number five, making it easy for people to pay you. Number six,
Yes.
strategies and systems. Good bookkeeping. Keep your receipts for everything, and that's a hard one for artists. That's a very hard one for artists. Is keep good bookkeeping, keeping your personal money and your business money separate. So whether you're getting $1, $5, $1,000, you want to keep it separate, that whatever you're doing for yourself personally and whatever you're doing for yourself as an artist, that the monies, that your receipts are totally separate in terms of things that you're paying for. So if you got to get so if you know you got to get your hair done, you got to travel, and but this is all for when you have the performance or whatever you're doing, you keep
Yes.
those receipts separate, right? And then your rent and all this other stuff,
Yes.
that's personal,
Yes.
right? That's personal. So you going to the grocery store has nothing to do
With
with your performance, so you have to know how to keep those two things separate.
that is a very vital thing that you have mentioned, because for myself as well, to be frank, I have mixed everything up, and it is so mixed up that up till now I don't separate things. It is all within the personal,
Yeah,
even though this is supposed to be outside of the personal.
yeah.
But the question is, for instance, if you're an artist and
Mhm.
you're not bringing in much, but you are spending more for the.
And the thing is, we don't actually realize that the spending more, if you keep all your bookkeeping separate, and basically, so when you go to do your taxes, because what we have to look at as ourselves is that we're self-employed people,
Mhm.
right? So there are already rules in place to help us. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't necessarily have to
Mhm.
reinvent the wheel. There's already things for self-employed artists, but most times we don't look at it that being an artist is being self-employed,
Self-employed, yeah.
right? So we just kind of make sure, oh, I still have my day job.
Yes.
I still have my I still have my day job. So everything just gets thrown in, but you don't realize that, oh, that's a separate income. So even if it's only, as I said, if you it's only $1, $50, $100, the thing is that keeping your receipts and knowing
Mhm.
this, I spent this money because this had to do with me doing so whether it's doing my podcast, doing something, create, like everything, these are the expenses that I spent on these things that have to do with me being a creative,
Mhm.
right? So who's my suppliers, my vendors, my whatever, like you just because in your head you actually know what it is. It's just that when you get your receipts, or even when you're paying for things, when you go to the
Yes.
cash register and you're paying for things, you're like, oh, I'm putting on something, and I needed water and I needed snacks for the people. Well,
Mhm.
those snacks
Those are business.
was actually should be on a separate receipt to the stuff that I'm getting from my house.
Oh,
Right.
okay, okay. I got it. I got
Right.
it.
So when
Yes.
you get to the cash register, oh, I need rice, I need flour, I need whatever, and that's for the house,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
but I mean this case of water or this case of juice and
Mhm.
these snacks and whatever, that's for the event that I'm doing, or that's for the whatever. Keep those
Okay.
things, or the writing pad, the pencils and the writing pad and all that. That's separate,
Yes.
right? So it's knowing when you get to the cash register, oh, you keep those things. So then when it comes time now to do your taxes, or it comes at the end of the year, now everything it's in a separate thing. Sometimes you want to. One of the ways is basically keeping envelopes and putting the
Mhm.
receipts in those envelopes, and you mark on it. This is business. This is for my poetry. This is for my podcast. This is for
Yeah.
my photography,
Mhm.
right? So whatever the thing is, So whether you're getting storage cards, you're getting whatever
Whatever.
I bought a new mic, I bought
Situation.
a new microphone, I bought a new computer. This is
Yes.
for the business. This is
Yes.
not right. And then you
Personal.
keep all those receipts. And the thing is, and as you said, like as we spend more on these things, and when it comes to tax time, what we don't realize is that, especially if we're a registered business, if you actually register that side hustle, that's being self-employed, that
Yes.
basically you get all that tax, you could at least get portion of that back,
Okay.
right? And the more you're really good at the bookkeeping,
Yes.
there's actually more benefits that actually come with that. But a lot of us, we don't know that. We don't know that.
Myself included. So
Sorry, say that
number
again.
7. I said myself included.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, so keeping good bookkeeping, but that's a hard one for us. For artists, that's a real hard one. That's a real hard one, but we gotta really,
Learn it.
yeah, we gotta really learn that. Putting strategies and systems in place to get those things to get those things in place, and that will benefit us.
Okay.
That will benefit us.
Um.
Um, number seven,
Yes.
number seven is do good work. Right? You got to
Yes.
do good work. Like people, you can't be mediocre. Right? And doing good work means, being doing good work means being on time, being professional. Um, Practice. You have to practice every day, whatever you want to practice, and make sure that you are the best at what you do. So that when people notice you, they're really noticing you and going, and they'll be like like when they do their thing, they're like
Really good.
they're
Yeah.
really good.
I believe that this will be part of the value system. Why
Yeah,
should we have you on
yeah,
our platform? What
exactly.
makes you distinctively unique or better than
Down
other
at Yeah,
people? Yes, than everybody else.
yes,
Yes,
right.
that is
So
right.
so
Yeah.
just do good work, show up consistently. The and consist Yeah, showing up. Actually, that ends up also. I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but doing good work is part of it. Yeah, just do good work,
Yes.
whatever it is. So whether it's singing, dancing, photography, graphic design, speaking, just do good work. Just make sure you're the best, and you're really practicing your
And I
craft.
think I'm going to add to that, invest in yourself.
Yes, definitely. Next one is number 8.
Yes.
Stay creating content. Always keep on creating content. And content could be, as I said, in doing good work, you just keep on coming up with different ways of creating the work.
Mhm.
And so, and for older artists, or I shouldn't say older. I don't know if the word is
I was
proper.
about to ask, do you mean some of us are that old? Please.
I'm just saying people who have for or established artists, for somebody who has
Okay.
already established themselves, repurpose the content. Find
Mm,
new ways, because the thing is, nobody all over the everybody all over the world has not heard your stuff.
yes.
And 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 if, because you do good work, it means that the work a lot of the work that you've done, for some of us, we're like, oh, it's old. Yeah, it's old to you. It's not
But
old. There's a
to
lot
the
of new people out there that haven't heard the work, and the work is so good that it stands on
it,
its own.
it's so it's what you say is so valuable in the sense that, for instance, you started 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
Those children who are now in their 20s have
Yes.
never heard that
Heard.
before. So for
Exactly.
me, it might be old, but I may not be at your show. It's
Yeah.
the 20 something year old coming to hear you, learn from you, who is
Exactly.
now hearing something new.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really had to mentally get that out of.
Right? So repurpose the work. Repurpose the work. The work. So if it's writing, it could become repurpose it. It could become a book. It can become a movie. It could become a cartoon. It could become repurpose the work. There's so many different things that you can take the work and then and repurpose it to do and create a new format and new content with the old work, because the work itself is still good and it stands up. So repurpose it, like as I said, so whether you could take it, make it a children's book, to make it a movie, make it whatever.
True, 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 true.
Right, right, you can repurpose the work and take it and put it into a different format, make it theater.
Mm-hmm.
Do There's so many different things that you can take the work. You make it an audio book, whatever, they
Mm-hmm.
repurpose the work still stands because it was good work in the first place.
Yes,
Right,
most
it was good
definitely.
work, it was good work in the first place, and it just repurpose it, and it will, and you can still do it. So like right now I'm working on a children's book with my poem called Trees Dancing. So it's the work still stands, because you know that when you get on that stage, everybody's like, oh my god, that's so amazing,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So take it and then you repurpose it for another, for the next, this new generation.
yes, most
So
definitely,
you
most
don't you don't
definitely.
don't because yeah, because as long as the work is good, you don't be, oh, it's old. There's nothing old.
There's
Like
nothing old.
we're still as you see, like we're still listening to James Brown, we're still listening to
Yes.
Michael Jackson, we're still listening to
Some kind of Etta
yeah,
James and all those
right.
oldies, and yes,
So even, or
calypsos
even you're
and
looking at um okay, his name might be a little taboo right now because of the slap with
R.
her war.
Kelly.
But right,
Can't
well
play
even
that one.
not even, but Will Smith
Oh, Will Smith.
with
Oh,
Fresh Prince of Bel Air,
yes.
basically how they could take his show and then repurposed it, and now it's a new show.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you can repurpose the work if the work was good.
Yeah.
You can always
Yeah.
repurpose the work. Right.
Beautiful.
So that's number 8, stay creating content and repurposing the content.
Yeah.
Number 9, staying consistent. You just
Mm-hmm.
need to be consistent. People just need to keep on seeing that you're there, and knowing that you guys have to keep on showing up. You got to show up,
Yeah.
right? Like think about back in the day, like when we used to do open mics. Why were we
Oh, I
getting
miss those days, but
noticed?
yeah.
Right? Why were we noticed? Why were people coming up and
Yeah.
asking us, "Hey, can you be in my show?" It's
Yeah.
because every Friday we used to show up at Flavor, like
I
right?
you know what, that was one part that I said I when we started, we didn't even talk about how we first met, but we will talk about that. My memory is a little bit blurry, but you mentioned
Yeah,
flavor, yes. But
right.
let's finish with this and we'll go back to that.
You just need to
Keep
be
showing up.
consistent in showing up. Show up,
Hmm.
right? That's
Yes.
how people notice you, is because, oh, like he was here last week and now he's here
Hmm.
again. But
Yeah.
now it just happens that it's online,
Yes.
right? We show up online, or we find something, or we put on our own events, and we just need to
Mhm.
keep on showing up, that people will be like, oh, right. There's, like when we even um people talk about, even like you talk about Drake or somebody like that. He's been showing up for the last 10
Yes.
years. Right? They're just like, he's just been showing up. You're just like, oh, I don't like him. Oh, but that was a good song though.
Yes.
But he's just been showing up. He keeps on
Hmm.
showing up. So
Yeah.
even if he has one bad song,
It keeps
he
showing
just
up.
keeps on showing up. And you're like, all right. And that's the thing for yourself. You need to be consistent and just keep on showing up.
Hmm.
Right? You might not get all of them. Everybody's not going to love everything that you do.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep on showing up, because you don't give up. You don't want to give up. You want to just be
Hmm.
consistent and keep showing up. Right? So
Beautiful.
that's number 9. Be consistent. And number 10, build a good team around you.
Uh,
Find people that you can either ally with, that basically do what you do, and then you guys can join together and create content together. Find people that are going to help you, the things that you don't know how to do. You find the people that do know how to do that, and you team up with them. You team up with them so that you and that they can work with you to help you get to your final thing. So somebody like myself, you would hook up with me, and I will go through these things, and basically I can tell you from my experience, okay, this is what you need to do this, try this, right? Oh, don't do that. Oh, this is the best way to so that you can save money.
Mhm.
Find people that could either mentor you, if
Mhm.
they're mentoring you, or they have a skill that you don't have, that and you work together, build a team, good, get a good team of people that are around you doing, and so that you can put out the art that you want to put out. And
Wow.
that's what I would say is the 10 keys to success.
Wow. This is great. So all this came from 2 decades distilled. See, this is what I
Full of hard
love.
knocks.
Yes, this is
Full of
what
hard
I
knocks.
really love about having conversations with people, especially on this YouTube podcast, or depending on where you're listening. Some people may listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Others will, watch us live on YouTube or come back later and watch it. Having these conversations, you bring to just these 40 plus minutes or 1 hour conversation over 2 decades of experience distilled.
you know, because yeah, because I wish there was people that were there to tell me, or maybe there
We
was
all
people
there.
there to tell me and I wasn't listening. I don't know, right?
I,
But this is, yeah, this is where we've come to, like,
wow.
yeah,
Really distilled
yeah,
10 ways or 10 steps
yeah,
to actually make it as an artist.
yeah,
Artistic entrepreneurship.
yeah.
We didn't have it that way.
No,
I I think for most of us, we just needed an outlet because that racism, discrimination, microaggression, everything was eating into our
all
ego.
that stuff, and people are still dealing with that,
Yeah.
and that's also too was identifying, not even knowing, right? And now I think it's better because now we can share information. Is like, yo, this happened to me,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So even on the business side, because there's some organizations that are just there for the photo op, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're just the person of color in the picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they get to exploit the work that you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those people you have to look out for. But the
Mm-hmm.
more that we um have conversations with amongst ourselves of about what we're going through as artists and whatever, like, because a lot of us, we have stumbling blocks that we've
Mm-hmm.
hit for various different reasons.
So
And
this is generic knowledge for any artist of any background within this business.
yeah.
But I want to narrow it down.
Hmm.
How important really is it for Black artists to pay heed to this experience,
for Black
or
artists, and
African Canadian? I don't even know which
it's
terminology.
you know what, I for me it's African diaspora, the Africans all through the diaspora, because I've gotten a chance to work with artists in Trinidad. I've gotten a chance to work with artists in Uganda, in
Mhm,
Ghana, in the UK. So for them, we're all kind of going through, but it's one, we need to, again, understanding our worth,
mhm,
to
mhm,
financial literacy, dealing with the knowing that we have the power to do things for ourselves, because the technology has actually helped us even out the playing field,
mhm.
where before we don't. I actually have this. I don't remember the poem off the top of my head, but I actually have this poem, is that we don't need the gatekeepers no more. The gatekeepers, we don't need, St. Paul at the gate anymore. Like, we're going straight to God now. you know we don't need the gatekeepers.
Yes,
Right, we don't
yes.
need the gatekeepers.
Mhm.
We can do things ourselves. And
Yeah.
a lot of times we think that we need the gatekeepers to get us to this next level, or whatever, or what success is. And success could mean a lot of different things to different people.
People. So we redefining
Yeah, we got to
what
read
it means.
what we redefine it, what it means, and basically, and once we can set things up the same energy that we would put in for to do things for other people, we can do it for ourselves.
Mhm.
Right? We just have to get, as I said, once you got that good team and you got a good team of people, we can figure out how to take the resources and put it into ourselves and
Mhm.
get the same results that we would get in a different way. And it doesn't, and now also too, you don't, if you do it in a certain way, you don't have people in your pocket. Like basically the money goes directly to you. It's not,
Yeah.
we don't have to give a percentage to somebody else, right?
Mhm.
We now own we now own it. Like basically is that, it's really funny that in the record industry it's called the masters. We don't need the
Yes.
masters anymore.
that
We don't need the masters anymore. We can
that is
we could be the lord of our own domain.
that is definitely true. That is definitely true.
Right? Like, 'cause even look at yourself with your show. You're doing it on your own. You're doing well. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it can be done. If you were waiting, oh, when can I put on my show? When can I do? If you were waiting, your show would never get done.
Eh,
But
eh,
you're doing it.
as my people say, you hit the nail right on top of the head, because there was a pause, there was a break in my show
Mhm.
because of its direction and where I really wanted it to go and needed it to grow and everything.
Right.
The energy was not right for me. So it took a lot of rethinking and re strategizing to move to become independent to do this. Now, is it where I need it to be? No. So I am going to take your number 10. Build a
Mhm.
good team around you.
Yeah. Find the people that basically, yeah, find the people that don't you that whatever skills that you don't have and you feel like you need, right? Write down what your resources are. What do you have available to you that can help you? And then find those people and fill in
I
those
know,
spots.
but sometimes it's difficult to find the people depending on where you are.
I think it's right
It's
now I feel like there's
difficult,
different
but it's not impossible.
also exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
difficult, but it's not
Not impossible.
impossible.
Yeah.
It's one of those challenges that one goes through.
And also too, now you have things like Fiverr and Upwork where you can find virtual assistants and different
Yes.
people that it's not a lot of money that you have to pay up front, but you can
Hmm.
have, because sometimes we feel like we need, you don't necessarily need somebody to be full time to help you.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like you just need somebody to spend an hour or 2 hours just working on something, and that will actually really boost you for
Yeah.
just because they worked on something that you couldn't get to yourself, and they
Yes.
worked on it for an hour or 2 hours. Is just because they're dedicated, because in that moment they're dedicated to it, and because you're a mother, you still got your day job, then you're
Yes.
doing your podcast, and you still need to get the work done. And sometimes you just find somebody, hey, I paid them $20, $30, or
Hmm.
$100, depending on what the situation is. They actually get that done for you, and then it helps you move ahead faster,
Yes. Yes.
right? So yeah,
Wow.
as you said, it's not impossible.
It's difficult, but
It's
difficult
not
does not mean
impossible.
impossible.
Yeah,
What is the terminology within impossible is
I
possible.
impossible.
Yes. Oh my goodness, Eddie, this has been so fruitful. This has been so fruitful. So you are teaching this. Is it is it a master class? You offering master classes on?
Yeah, so right now I have a class that I'm teaching, and this it's going to be an ongoing course, but there's some of the courses break down into different pieces depending on what I'm teaching.
Mhm.
Um this right now I have a course called How to Run and Launch Your Creative Business.
Yes.
Another course I'll be starting, so people, if they want to sign up now, they can for the next round.
Mhm.
So what they can do is email me at ibeatboxworkshops at
Mhm.
gmail.com and just get their name on the list, and I'll
On the
send out the
list. Yeah.
information to them. So
Yeah.
it's I beat beat
Mhm.
box box workshops
Oh, okay.
right? WORKSHOPS.
Okay, workshop.
I beatbox
Okay,
workshops.
yes,
And get their name on the list for the next one. So that one's
coming
going to
up.
probably
Yeah,
be in about a month.
yeah.
This course that I'm teaching right now finishes on the 17th.
Hmm.
So right now it's every Wednesday. I have a group of students that I'm working with, and
Beautiful.
then yeah, and this is the kind of stuff when we get into even really more detail on how to even taking all those things from that list, that those
Yes,
10 keys to success, really getting into a deep dive of what that really looks like, because what you want is practical. You want practical actual steps of going through what do I need to do daily to help myself get to where I want to. And you want to, and most times some of us, we talk about success, but we need to visualize it. We need
yes,
to actually see what the steps are. So like when I talk about getting payment systems, getting a bank account, have these are very practical things like, oh, and you would probably be like, oh, I knew that, right? Yeah, we know it, but were
did
you
you do
actually,
it?
yeah, did you actually do it, or were you actually thinking about
What
it?
kind of support do you need to put
Need,
that
yeah,
system in place? Yes.
exactly. So that you have a foundation, so you actually have the proper foundation so that you can
Hmm.
stand on it and be like, okay, so when opportunity is knocking, are you actually ready for it? You know.
Wow, this has been so informative, insightful, and all the big words you can think of.
And I appreciate you having me on your show. I really
It's
do. Thank you.
5 good years since we last had a conversation on particularly like this, learning from each other. But I would say I have learned more from you this period. So it was a five. It's like, the wine was, maturing. So I am having a beautiful sip of this tall glass of fine wine. Thank
Mm.
you. Now, I think so. Just to round up, we've had a great discussion about artistic entrepreneurship, how to make a living as an artist, and you've
Yes.
shared with us 10 keys for um, practical and actual steps.
Yes.
Yes, and I think I'll just do a quick run through to summarize it, which is number one: make it easy for people to find you,
Hmm.
which means there's social media.
Social media,
Utilize
online,
it.
live showcases. Yep.
Yes. Make it easy for people to contact you. Put
Hmm.
put your WhatsApp contact or your email or
Yep. Your
your
DM.
Instagram DM whatnot
Yep.
there, and reply to those contacts
Possible. Yes.
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Get your agreements in writing when somebody wants you to come
Yeah.
on
So
their
whether it's a proposal, a contract, just always have it. Just always
all
have something in writing.
agreements.
It also helps you remember things. So even if you just look at it as, it just helps you remember what the details are, so that you can be like, oh, this is the place that I need to show up. This is how much I'm getting paid. This
Yes.
is what you're going to do, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Right. So it just keeps everybody, so that, because
Communication.
everybody's life is so busy that
Yes.
sometimes you just might have a discussion, but you might not remember all the details.
Yeah.
So you
I,
just have it in writing. Just
Yes,
have it in
I think
writing so
that
that
is why when we had that conversation, I recapped and sent you that note that
yeah.
this, just in case you forget,
Yet,
this is
yeah,
what you talked about. This is the date. This
yeah,
is the time. Put it in your calendar.
yeah,
Beautiful. Know your value and worth so that you never work for free and that
mhm,
you went in depth.
yeah,
Number five, make it easy for people to pay you
hmm,
both locally and internationally, which is
yes,
very, very important.
yes,
And number six, which is a skill many of us don't have or refuse to
hmm,
because our heads are creative, good bookkeeping.
yes. Strategies
Okay.
and system, so to keep your personal money and your business money separate. Yeah, and yeah, you
Yes.
just need to have those. You just need to have systems so that when people are contacting you have a way to go through, or even just having policies,
Hmm.
right? There's So systems and strategies is also just having a policy of people you don't want to deal with, and you could filter them out. You could filter out the people you don't want to deal with,
I,
right?
I think our next conversation will be talking about the nitty gritty of such, you know, business strategies or whatnot
Yeah,
when you are dealing with that.
yeah.
Number seven was do good work,
Do
which
good work.
includes being on time, being professional, practicing,
Yes,
investing in yourself, in your
yes,
craft,
yes,
right? And oh, that actually goes into number eight. Always keep creating content.
yes,
Always keep creating content, and then you can also repurpose the content for something else, which
yes.
means there is nothing old. It
Exactly.
is only old to you,
You, not, yeah,
not
not to
the
the world.
world. Yes. Number nine, stay consistent
Hmm.
and keep showing up. Do your own events. Number 10, build a good team around you. And
Yes.
that you delved and went deeper into it.
Yeah.
Wow. This is absolutely wow. And I appreciate you for this. It feels like it has to be a book, an ebook or something that needs to come out
Yeah,
with
yeah.
all these
I'm working
techniques.
on that. I'm working on that.
Okay.
I'm working on that. Yeah.
Yes.
You
With
know,
all
the
these 10
artist
keys to
sustainability book.
success.
You know.
Yes. Viewers, oh man, on this note, before I we end in a
Yeah.
few minutes, what do you have as the last, thing to say or advice to share with creatives, both, old, young, new, and creatives just like myself, trying to revive our creativities? What do you have to, what advice do you have for us?
Um. The your art is not your. It doesn't have to just be your hobby. You can make a living at it. And you can eat from the fruits of the poetry.
Eat from the fruits of the poetry. If the poetry was like a tree, you
Yeah.
plant the seed, you root it
Seeds.
up, you feed it, you water it, it sprouts, the leaves branches out, it bears fruit, and you eat out of it. And
Yes.
keep watering it and giving it more food, and then you enjoy.
Right. You
You
feed
do good
yourself.
poetry,
You feed
you get
yourself and you
good
feed the world.
outcome.
You feed yourself and you feed the world from the poetry.
You feed yourself from the poetry. And I
Yeah.
do believe there are those who have gone ahead of us, even in Canada here, like Lillian Allen,
Yep.
that poet, yeah,
Hmm.
who does
Clifton
that
Joseph.
poetry.
There's so
Yes,
many. Yeah.
who have set that, path for us that we could also emulate. Um, the next generation is coming,
Yeah.
but we need to make a better, use of it and create a conscious business model
Yeah.
as artists. Yes.
Yeah.
Eddie,
Yes.
God bless you
God bless you
for me.
too.
And thank you for saying thank you for coming onto the Nana Yaa Yeboaa show. It was previously Literary Voices
Appreciate
5 years ago.
you.
Now it's the Nana Yaa Yeboaa show. Thank you so much. Viewers, if you have not watched, liked, or subscribed, please do so. We will add your information to the bottom of this podcast. If you're listening to us on podcast, Apple or Spotify, thank you very much. If you are equally watching us live, we do appreciate you very, very much.